Good morning. Today I'm joined by my guest, Amy Simmons from WeCOMPLETE. Amy, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Amy. We are now recording this in December of 2021. It's fair to say if there was ever going to be a year that tested the resilience of our market, it was going to be 2021. For agents, definitely a good year all round in terms of volume of transactions and that impetus that was there around the stamp duty deadlines. For some conveyancers, it was a year of almost slipping beneath the surface of that water and not being able to keep up. But for you guys, by all accounts, you've had an amazing year. So tell us how 2021 was from your point of view.
Yeah, it's been a good year for us. I think, if we were ever going to test WeComplete technology in its full fledged, under full attack, it was going to be 2021. So we were very intrigued to see the performance level under such a difficult time. WeComplete has absolutely made a difference in terms of transaction times, in terms of consumers' comfort in their transaction, and for conveyancers, streamlining the process and making the process more digital. Absolutely. They've been assisted and been helped in the time, as you say, as you rightly say, that they were drowning in work.
And I think that's echo from both sides of that industry. So you've got the estate agents saying, and their clients, let's face it, saying we would like transaction times to be as minimal as possible. Yeah. We would like to see the slack taken out of all the conveyancing process and tightened up. We would like a clearer understanding of when searches are going to be back and when we're likely to be able to do a deal. And then on the other side of it, you've also got conveyancers who are fed up of working in the way that they've been working because it's no fun being chased from the other side. So a solution like WeComplete in the middle, delivering that value for both sides, really making that change happen.
Yeah, it was interesting to see this whole sector work to a deadline for the first time, actually. Never has there been a deadline to work to. We're very used to that deadline of completion slipping and slipping and slipping until everybody's got all their ducks in line or it falls. And this was the first year that we've had deadlines in place where consumers were saying, if I'm not complete by this date, I am not going any further. This is it. This is a hard deadline. Yeah. And so, conveyancers sort of, working towards that final date were just, under so much pressure. I think that, from our perspective at WeComplete, we see a deadline of between 4 and 6 weeks on every case. Whether the customer wants to see completion in that time or not, we should all be working towards the 4 to 6 weeks completion on every case, every type of case. So our system is set up for fast completions, and that isn't to stress the conveyancers as much as they've been throughout this year. This is putting all the facilities in place to make that happen from day one. So early instruction of forms, etc., ease of populating, dealing with customers that are abroad, potentially even holidaying at the time of which their transaction is going through. Things don't get slowed, things don't get delayed. So for us to see the inability of the conveyancing process to actually work to a deadline was an assurance that WeComplete is needed in this sector in order to bring those deadlines in on a reasonable and realistic basis going forwards.
That was going to be my next question. In terms of going forwards, obviously 2021 had those natural deadlines in place. And as you say, it put an unnatural amount of pressure on the system. And that sometimes, it forces people to innovate and take up new solutions to problems. But are we as an industry, can we afford to not learn from this? Can we afford to just go back to sleep on it? Can we afford to let things fall back to normal? Because we know that 2022 might be a tougher year for agents in terms of volume of instructions, at least in that early first quarter of the year. Will we fall back into bad habits?
I think it's like anything that happens in this sector, and there are some good and bad things that come out of a you know, a unnatural event like COVID. And why would we want to slip back? We've all proved now that we can work to a deadline, whether that be a deadline that everybody wanted or not. We've all proved that we can do it. Now, for estate agents, a deadline is a very, very important thing that they've never had to work to. So they do all their wonderful work, put all their customers in the right place, the chain is stacked, you know, they've done everything they need to do. They hand those customers over to the conveyancing process, and they're losing a third of deals. This isn't acceptable. In the WeCOMPLETE technology, we lose 8.1% of deals. That's significant on the top line of an agency. Those deals can be worth tens of thousands. Let's not just sit back and say we lose a third on average. That's not good enough. So we mustn't return, we mustn't slow, and we mustn't allow this 22 weeks average completion time to continue to grow, because the realistic side of conveyancing is that it has only increased in length in the past 10 years. It's time for that to rewind. And, you know, the conveyancers take an awful lot of flack, and they are brilliant in the most. They just don't have the assistance they require to move at any kind of pace. The whole wheel is slow. When they're given WeCOMPLETE and they work within it, they've got all the tools. So we hear them frequently saying, well, we're ready now, so whenever the rest of the chain is ready, we're ready. Well, that's all we can do, but it's doing something about it.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I think anybody that's thinking about their New Year's resolutions in 2022, if they do want to work in a slightly more clever way, if they want that gift of time and they want to be able to have more quality conversations with the people that you work with, because you know, I hear this from estate agents the whole time, that they're worried about their relationships with those solicitors. Well, don't put them under so much pressure. Use a system that will allow you to manage that relationship. You have everything else in your working life pretty much protect up to the max. You've got your CRM that tells you where you should be and what you should do. You make life a breeze for your clients when booking appointments, confirming valuations. Why not sprinkle a little bit of that efficiency and the great use of tech on the conveyancing process, and just take the heavy lifting out of it? There you go. That wasn't prepared at all, Amy, but that came out like a perfect summary of what WeCOMPLETE can do for people in 2022. Thank you very much for taking the time talking to us today.
It's been great. Thanks for talking to me.
Pleasure.